Everyone, I'm so sorry.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, thank you. So I'm so sorry, I'm late because the another session I attended, so 15 minutes late. So now today we would like to talk about restoring internet and credibility and preserving the democracy. So as you know, that we have so many misinformation, disinformation. Before that, illegal information, harmful information. Can you hear me? Okay. My PC prevented it. Sorry. So, which I say. So we have so many problems maybe after the internet coming into this world. So more than 20 years I'm struggling with these issues in Japan sometime. Can you hear me? With government study group for the harmful information. First of all, it was the cyberbullying for the high school students. Maybe 2005, 4 or 5, 6. So that was Apple made a iPhone. For the first time, the high school student would never have such a stupid phone, but 2 years later, most of them have the iPhone. So then, that's the beginning of the cyberbullying. Almost the same time, the same phenomena was happened in the South Korea. So they make some regulation to stop the cyberbullying because they have some very famous actress killed by herself. So that was a social problem. So they made a law for that, but it was in vain. Cyberbullying is continues, and the suicide is decreasing, but we still have the same problem now. So additionally, now we have some disinformation or misinformation, sometimes generated by the AI. So then, the democracies, can we make the democracies trusted, or do we have how do we maintain the democracy in this world? So in the Japan, this one is here. We have the constitution about secrecy of telecommunication, which prohibits the infringement of the secrecy of telecommunication, such as censorship, something blocking, filtering, without the permission by the each person. So then, so many people tend to allow the censorship of internet because they don't know the mechanism of the blocking. So nowadays, as you know, the cyber attack almost every day we have had from the other countries. Sometimes from in Japan, but then they make a new act. So now we have the Active Cyber Defense Act. So past May 16, just 1 month ago, and now it's promulgated May 23rd. So now it's effective. So the most of the people probably know about what is the cyber defense. So if we don't have do not do this deep packet inspection, we cannot do these things. So, but it's break the secrecy in telecommunication. So the usually people tends to allow, and some people be happy because we are protected by the government. But as you know, this act is very useful sometimes for the detection of attack services and detoxification of attackers and information sharing and collaboration, so then protect the cyber attack from the to maintain our network. So next, please. So, but some people concerns have already been expressed. What kind of concerns? Concerns about the infringement of the constitutionality of communication, which I mentioned, and also concerns about the privacy infringement. So they don't know about telecommunication secrecy, but nowadays some people very sensitive for their concern about the privacy. So maybe 10 years ago, no one complain about that, but nowadays some people talk about it. Then next, please. The countermeasures against dis and misinformation, which I told the Constitution was made, was created out of deep reflection of World War II. So many people killed by the misinformation or sometimes disinformation. And the violation of secrecy of communication is the threat of Japanese democracy. I think this is the most important thing in Japan nowadays. So however, many citizens such as tend to allow blocking due to the lack of knowledge of the mechanisms of blocking. So the literacy is very, very, how can I say, important things also. But we need the countermeasures that do not rely on the government in a way that does not infringe of the secrecy of the communication. We should be independent from the government. In some time, the fund or something. So in the only we have exception about blocking. We blocked China pornography. It's only exception in our country, but we never have money from government. It's our voluntary effort. While improving user literacy will undoubtedly be important in the future, and also there may be cases our technical measures and third-party evaluation systems might be effective, we think. So now we have some speakers here. So they are talking about our effort, not established, but probably we will do it in the near future, I hope. So and first of all, could you make a address, Mr. Miyakawa?
Yeah,
Is it okay?
yeah, no.
No, not
ズー
until.
ムリンクが
そうなんです。just a moment.
Facebook 来てないです。ちょっと待って。
ズームリンク。
So sorry for the waiting. Technical problem. So by the way, then Adam, do you have something about which I opinion about? I talked about some Japanese situation, so probably the maybe the background of the regulation act will different from Japan. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, while we're tackling that technical issue, I guess one of the things about the topic that you mentioned, it's always a balance between protecting citizens against cyber attack and also protecting privacy and so on. One of the things that I think is quite important is that who decides where that balance lies, and that is precisely, I guess, part of the topic today, which is the democratic process that actually leads into how we set that balance. But one of the interesting things, and as I was preparing to respond, is that the problem with disinformation campaigns affects democracy itself. So when you have a system where it by kind of tampering with the system of democracy and kind of skewing the voting process to achieve a certain results, then that democratic process is actually setting the balance for between privacy and security. We come into an issue of a kind of a dead loop, if you will, and that is something that I was going to expand a little bit more on, but I think they are ready for the next presentation.
I'm ready.
So then そのまま喋って大丈夫です。
I'm ready.
So then change the person. Next, Mr. Nakazawa, could you please?
資料が映るかどうか。
Just a moment. 許可されてないです。
The panel will need to allow.
映ってないな。
Okay.
映ってないですよ。
Not permit.
We'll need to allow sharing from. Sorry.
Yuki Nakazawa.
Okay, it's great.
映ってない。映ってないよ。こっちに映ってない。他の人は見えてんの？
Okay, I am skipping Yuki Nakazawa. I am providing mainly domain registration services as a right descent company. Also, I hold for ICANN company and providing domain registrar service. So then we forecast domain service for SEO company or marketing company now. Here is my right profile. I related in service of especially SEO and recently 20 years.
私は入れないんで。長澤さんと映してもらいます。
Here is our domain service web page, Ultra Domain. Next. Here is our domain secondary market platform, reelsdomain.com. We are providing this service for SEO company too. And then I explain this information, for example, to use domain secondary market. First step, for example, domain was used by actual no problem user shop for shopping site. Then domain has expired and dropped. Afterwards, the person registered the domain and available to open the fake shopping site. Of course, user will not be receive any items. Just a moment. This slide is Hrefs analytics data in Singapore company. It is not difficult to get organic access to the domain secondary market. Then, so it is a question, and how can we prevent this domain issue? So next, I looked this ticket price recently 3 weeks. I reserved air ticket to go to Istanbul from Tokyo using Expedia. So I met this ticket price recently 3 weeks and maintain constant price. Then I bought air ticket updated upper price. This slide. So this one and this one updated prices. I bought my air ticket updated prices air ticket, but I did not feel good. However, I decided to use this schedule airline the ticket my same company director. So I did not able to change other flight. So next, I reserved air ticket. This slide. Okay. Thank you for listening my talk.
My name is Dr. This main subject is the international internet information reliability. It's my background. My name is Dr. Masaaki Miyagawa from Japan. Can you hear me? Okay. This main subject is international internet information reliability. Next page, please. It's my background. RMA provides support for laboratory accreditation. ISO IC 17025. Okay. Katana Performance Consulting is my company. I established in 2003 in New York. And a former graduate school professor. Next page, please. Can the internet sustain democracy? The proliferation of dark patterns in online e-commerce, phishing damage on the rise, leaked personal information continues, and widespread spam. Platform regulation alone is not enough. Limits of 入ってない。
聞こえてます。
聞こえてます。OK、聞こえてる。Limits of legislation and demerit. Misinformation and disinformation spread during emergencies such as an earthquake, disaster. It's a matter of life and death. And the damage and social unrest caused by fake information and dark patterns will increase due to AI, I think. Next page, please. As a result, the lack of information democracy brings four losses or four risks. First, economic loss. Example, suffering damage from phishing site. And an organization that is doing business correctly is at a disadvantage. Honesty doesn't pay. Second, intellectual loss. Example, misjudgment due to incorrect information, and the lack of creativity due to asking too easily for answers. And in response to suspicious information, they are unable to critically address it and easily accept it, I think. What should I say? You may miss out on opportunities for serendipity. Third, social loss. For example, increasing the social cost due to the need for surveillance or research, and social anxiety due to decrease in trust in society, and checking reliability and safety or enforcing regulations more. These generate social cost, and these will be covered by our taxes. Last, mental loss. Increasing stress due to smartphone addiction. Partial or biased information fosters bias or easy heuristic. It may lead to a lack of identity, I think. Excessive internet dependence means a relative decrease in interpersonal communication, which can lead to isolation. In such situation or environments, it seems that one may unknowingly fall prey to malicious sites. Next page, please. Our organization is working on 3 measures and approaches. Next page, please. Okay. First, なんて書いてある? 3. Certification by NACIL. What is NACIL? In October 2022, OECD Digital Economy Purpose showed 7 dark patterns, In the EU, April 2022, the Digital Services Act, DSA, has been adopted. Japan has acted against unjustifiable premiums and misleading representations, but it is not sufficient. Not sufficient, I think.
Excuse me, sir. Can you turn off the volume on your computer? Sound off on the computer.
Mute.
Yeah,
Mute.
on the
Mute.
computer because there's something coming back.
No, mute.
Only.
Sound.
Yeah, but microphone on this computer, so it go. Sorry. Yeah, speaker.
Speaker.
いいですか、説明して。First, certification by NACIL. What is NACIL? NACIL is a certification, a type of authentication. It indicates that there are no dark patterns on the site. The reason third-party certification is necessary is that it is fundamental to corporate governance and reflects the era of empathy. NACIL is aware of the supply chain. For example, if there are 50 tons of food ingredients that can only be harvested in a certain area, if 100 tons were circulating the market, it would be strange. The reliability of information requires cooperation. The NACIL certifies reliable site. It's not intended to point out site with sludge or suspicious site. Not intended. Second, education. Probably the target for education will be people involved with internet information. Therefore, it will range from elementary school students to the elderly like me. I think it is effective to categorize by age when conducting educational and awareness activities. Particularly in Japan, many phishing sites target the elderly. High school and college students need to be aware of the dangers of excessive dependence. Last, domain management. Suspicious website can be difficult to distinguish from legal ones just by looking at the subject or contents. However, by examining the domain name, it is possible to somewhat predict or perceive whether a site is suspicious. Additionally, malicious companies may utilize abandoned domains to lead users to misleading sites. By managing domains appropriately, we can avoid phishing sites, I think. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miyakawa. Then we're talking about these things is effective or not. So the last things he mentioned about the domain name management. So first of all, I would like to ask you, Edmund, about as a .asia manager. So I think I'm not sure only in Japanese, but nowadays the Japanese people don't have interest about the domain names. So that it's easy just find some websites, just put some words in the Google site, something. So there's no relationship with the domain name. So then then they have a phishing email, so they are easy to click the phishing site. So that is one of the reasons why he mentioned about that. So what do you think about that?
Thank you, Tashi-san. Edmund here from .asia, as mentioned. Well, I think I'll start off with the question posed in terms of, I guess, DNS abuse in some sense. The two aspects that you mentioned. One is the domain abuse itself. The other one is the lack of people actually using domain names and therefore causing the difficulty of identifying the identity of spam or phishing and so on. I think that's a very interesting observation, and I'll start with the DNS abuse and come back to what I think is an important process going forward about digital identities and the authentication and the credentials of users online. I think, first of all, on the DNS abuse side of things, we talked a little bit about privacy versus cybersecurity, which is the age-old discussion, right? One of the interesting things about DNS abuse or domain abuse is that it is in the current discussions, it's very much always related to the ability to obtain registration data from what is called the WHOIS, or what's called the registration data access protocol now. But since the GDPR, since the event of GDPR, a lot of the public WHOIS information of public data, domain registration data is no longer available, and the cybersecurity side is saying, hey, we need access to that information in order to tackle cybersecurity issues and deal with DNS abuse issues. So where do we draw that kind of balance, right? On the DNS abuse side, there is a big debate about whether content constitutes something that domain registrars or registries should be taking action on. I actually like to think of it a little bit further. When you think about the ICANN kind of ecosystem, ICANN itself is probably not the right entity to enforce any kind of content regulation. However, that does not mean that registries and registrars cannot take a further step. One of the good examples, I think, is, for example, .kids. .asia actually also provides service. Well, we actually operate .kids. And when you look at DNS abuse, when we look at DNS abuse on .asia versus on .kids, our approach is significantly different. On .asia, well, I shouldn't say it's anything goes, but anything that is not illegal goes, right? But on .kids, it's very different. We actually actively monitor the content that is actually served on .kids and .kids registrant agree to a kind of policy that disallows them to provide content that is rated R or restricted, such as pornography, such as casino sites, such as violence and gore. And if they do, for example, there are cases where it's a site where it's providing movies, but they had rated R movies. Of course, that is a violation of the policies, and we do take action and take them down. But here is the balance that I talked about earlier. When a domain, for example, let's say sex.kids is registered, but there's no content on it, that touches on the name itself, right? But sex.kids could completely be, a sex education for kids and so on. So where, in that case, we take a further look. Things like, rape.kids, for example, we actually take action and preliminarily suspend it. But things like sex.kids is the test of where, you balance between the freedom of expression and also protection. The balance here between .asia and .kids obviously then is very different. A sex.asia, we wouldn't even care about it. But a sex.kids, we would actually put a watch on it. And that is where we believe the balance needs to be, is not to, what I like to say, pre-crime something. When you go to pre-crime, then we definitely cross the line of the balance between protection on cybersecurity versus the other side. Now, moving to the discussion about cybersecurity itself and the balance and how I think that relates to our democratic institutions and so on. This is the type of balance. This is the type of thing that we need to be clear about when we talk about protection of privacy and so on, and that relates to the WHOIS data that I mentioned. One of the things that people like to say is that privacy is about kind of data security, and they come hand in hand. I actually think it's the other way around. The question is, first of all, why are you keeping the data itself? In the domain registration part of things, it is very clear that domain registration data is required, and you are keeping personally identifiable data, then security and then the decisions whether to disclose that information becomes very important. But then we move on to the platforms such as social media, and we touched a little bit upon disinformation and misinformation. There, the line is significantly different because there are certain data that you don't have to retain. Platforms that should not maintain. For example, even if you want to verify, for example, someone's age or verify certain credentials, once that verification is done, that data should be deleted, right? So if the data is not stored in the first place, then security is not an issue for privacy. Now, moving a little bit further to platforms and so on, then we talk about the content, and the content itself, of course, could be developed towards disinformation and spread on a particular platform, and therefore affecting election results as well. And that's the disinformation issue that we often talk about. On that particular front, I personally believe that one of the key aspects in terms of internet governance is looking at what we so-called digital sovereignty and data sovereignty. The issue there, though, is that too much attention is being placed on national digital sovereignty or national data localization. That is precisely the wrong thing to do, in my mind, because if you want to build a democracy, the data sovereignty that needs to be developed is personal data sovereignty. If laws and regimes protect personal digital sovereignty, which allows people's data to be owned by themselves, regardless of where the platform is, that is protection to the end user. That's protection to the citizen, not data localization or data national digital sovereignty, because that's where the part where you talked about, people not using different domains and all jumping into Facebook or certain social media platform, that's where it's really important, because with personal digital sovereignty, people can move out of a particular platform. If I own my data and I am allowed and I'm protected to move on to different platforms, for example, like the Fediverse or the social web, I'm not locked in to a Facebook, and therefore I'm also not locked in to attacks to Facebook through disinformation and so on. So I think one of the key aspects of dealing with this issue of cybersecurity, digital disinformation, and the deterioration of our democratic institutions is to think about personal digital sovereignty. And with that, it also it builds what I call a digital resilience. We often talk about digital, cybersecurity and so on, but cybersecurity is never 100%. And the issue about whether infrastructure, national internet infrastructure, or personal digital data and so on, it's more about resilience, whether you can withstand attack, whether you can get yourself back up, whether you can reconstruct your digital world quickly, even after attack or under attack. So all of that, comes back to, I think, one of the key aspects is to get out of this obsession about data localization and controlling all the data and being able to catch the bad guys and do the right thing. But on the reverse, to think about personal digital sovereignty, where users themselves are actually empowered to move their data around, and and protection of that actually strengthens, I believe, the democratic discourse in terms of the social media and also the internet in general. So, sorry, I think I jumped through many different areas, but it is a very broad topic that was brought along.
Thank you very much. I'm very impressed by you said about data sovereignty. I think that it is not belong to the the nation, but belong to its the person. So also in Japan, we were talking about that. Especially that just before making some law and act. So, but namely, we are personal data. But as you say, the sovereignty is not belong to the person. So that's a very good point, I think. And also, I want to know about how do you find about the kids. So how do you find out the bad side for the kids? So I will try to find out or something.
Yeah, so that's a good point. In terms of specifically on .kids, I guess when .kids was launched about 2.5 years ago, we're glad that actually the mechanism and the system for handling DNS abuse is in place. So what the systems behind which is actually supported by our provider, Identity Digital, and through them, Clean DNS, allows us to look at actually, in reality, it's actually looking at content. Because in order to determine a bit of whether things are phishing, you will have to take a look at the content. On that part, for regular DNS abuse stuff, then it's very much based on different lists. There are different people that monitor phishing, malware, and so on, and we utilize that, plus a reporting mechanism, so we are somewhat reactive in terms of DNS abuse. On the .kit situation, you are correct. We are proactive. So when a domain is registered, the reality is, yes, we actually have eyeball the registration, but we also utilize the tools that is mentioned, and also a little bit of AI and identifying potential issues. But at the end of the day, we do have a team that eyeballs the issue, because there is a certain balance that I mentioned that needs to be made. But on top of that, we also work with Internet Watch Foundation. They are focused on what we call CSAM, the child sexual abuse materials. For those ones, we definitely don't eyeball them, because I don't think that's we are not the professionals for that. Those things we depend on somewhat automated mechanism and report through IWF, the Internet Watch Foundation. So it's a mixture of proactive reporting and also depending on reliable lists.
Okay, very wise way. Thank you. Yes. So then, so I talking about how do you check your .kit site? Is that is a common procedure with which are the Mr. Miyakawa-san. Probably the same way we have to do the check the website, not automatically, probably by the human something.
It's very difficult and not easy. We cannot protect against all malicious site, phishing site. So we focus on theory and honesty site. Our association's activities, I tell nutshell, probably nutshell production of damage spread mainly to people who are said to be informationally disadvantaged people like me, and the protection, the promotion of those who conduct business fairly. So all phishing sites we cannot protect. So I'm sorry, but so focus on fairly site. Just we can do now, right?
Okay, thank you. So okay.
I wanted to respond a little bit. One of the things when we started to think about .kits, we also thought about having kind of a seal, kind of having some sort of credentials to show that you are a proper .kits website. The challenge there, though, is that domains and hosting could be compromised. That's one thing. The other thing is that the bad guys are going to try to get that seal. And that's where we have a problem. So we cannot actually trust it, because if I'm trying to do something bad, I will definitely try to get that seal first, because then, you know, I become trusted, and then the information happens. The other thing is, you know, as I was saying, even if it is not intentional, that so-called the seal or that website could be compromised, and some additional data, you know, or content would be added to it by hackers or by those who are trying to do bad. What do you think about that situation? And therefore, we didn't actually use that method and had to do more monitoring.
So they don't have some, but it is not launched, so we don't have a complete idea. But so it's a very difficult problem. So then, extremely, we have to change the protocol. But it is not easy. So because as you mentioned about who is, so maybe more than 20 years we're talking about who is in the ICANN meeting. So the new next protocol, I don't remember the name, but
RDAP.
Yes, but still it is not effective now. So that's a very good hard problem, I think. So but only 2 minutes left. So if you someone have a question or opinion, please raise your hand. Or coming up to the microphone. Okay. So then last 1:40. So do you have something?
Especially education is very important. For example, logical thinking about information and the internet information. Logical thinking.
Logical thinking. Okay.
I think.
How about Nako? It's okay. So then, would you 1 minute?
Sure. So I guess I'll close on, you know, in terms of the topic today. To me, I think the focus a lot of times on national digital sovereignty is really misplaced. If we really want to protect our citizens, we need to give them the personal digital sovereignty, and that is a foundation of addressing some of the attacks on our democratic institutions and democratic systems, because without that, the disinformation is going to hurt. Just a few percentage in the voting process could affect, you know, the results of the election, and those targeted disinformation campaigns is doing that, and by creating a regime that allows for personal digital sovereignty, which allows me to jump out of Facebook and, you know, still be connected in the social web, I think that is the future that I think we need to see.
Thank you very much. So I hope that the AI will never get the domain name. So yeah, now just as time and up. So thank you very much, and please place to our panelists. Thank you so much.